Notre Dame trails with about a minute and a half to go in the first quarter until 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when Ian Book finds Miles Boykin with a perfectly thrown ball, a dime as Miles Boykin put it, to give Notre Dame a 19-14 victory. We all thought that there would be no letdown today. Brian Kelly really kind of shot that down a little bit, didn't feel like they were lacking energy, but the fact of the matter is that Pittsburgh came in here, gave Notre Dame one heck of a game, led most of the time, but typical of a playoff contending team and a top five team, when Notre Dame had to do it, they did, beginning with their defense, holding Pittsburgh from scoring in their last 8 drives of the game.
Yeah, if not for that kick return touchdown, this might not be so, it might not have been so nerve-wracking in the stadium for all the fans and for the players and coaches, because the defense played outstanding after the first drive. I asked them, a couple of players, what were the adjustments you made? They both said, no real adjustments. We just played smarter. I think there probably had to be a couple little things. Clark Lee might have a different response to that. But one adjustment they always have to make is to unleash Julian Okwara on opposing pockets, because he's officially credited for 7 hurries. They don't keep that stat well in college football. I have never seen more than 6 in a Notre Dame game here, and I think when we look back at this, he had more than 7 hurries, because that man was wrecking the pocket, just like Mike Elston said he would do this year.
It's shocking that Pickett was only sacked one time, which, again, is not reflective. And that's why during the week I asked Brian Kelly about pressures and not sacks, because the sacks are not reflective of what this pass rush has been like. Now, Brian Kelly also pointed out that they don't have to blitz in order to get a pass rush, and that's why opponents are averaging so few yards per completion, because they can do it with 4. On the offensive side of the ball, Ian Book, would you believe, I mean, if someone said, hey, he went 26 of 32 for 264 yards, he was intercepted twice, one really not his fault, he was hit as he threw it, but he finds a way. Can he complete 70% of his passes for the year? Yes, if in a game like this he's 26 for 32.
Well, he had 1 or 2 drops, point-blank drops, one by Chris Fink that probably would have turned into a touchdown. It seemed like he played so much worse than his statistics. Now, Brian Kelly kind of admitted that if he was bailing on the pocket too early in the first half, that did contribute to the close game. If you can turn some of these drives, some of those field goal drives, into the normal, efficient, crisp Ian Book, it's probably not a 19-14 game. But yeah, what are you going to take away from him? 14 of 15 with 2 touchdowns in the second half, and it felt like he played his worst game. Once again, it feels like Ian Book did not play great, and he was 14 of 15 in the second half with 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. I asked Miles Boykin about, did the receivers get open more in the second half for him? He said, no, we were open all game, but he was under a lot of pressure early.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. Brian Kelly said because of what Pittsburgh did defensively against the run, that this was a game that Ian Book probably should have thrown 45 to 50 times. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with that. Do you? That's his perspective as head coach, and I respect and recognize that. But Pittsburgh does make it tough to run a football. I don't know. The previous 6 opponents gave up 4.8 yards per carry against them. So obviously they found ways to run the football. But in the end, I can't say enough about the defense. The last 8 series of the game, Pittsburgh did not score. Did they shank a couple field goal attempts? Yes, they did. That was a kid that hit a 54-yarder, 55-yarder, and a 45-yarder last week against Syracuse. But we said it from the beginning of the year. The defense is the backbone of this team, and it was once again today.
And I thought Brian Kelly summed it up well at the end when he said he was pretty happy about the win, as all head coaches should be when they are 7-0 going to a bye week and ranked probably going to be number 4, potentially how things are playing out since we've come down to this field. If we play like this every week, he said, we will not continue to win. I thought that was a good way to put a bow on a performance where you come back and beat Pittsburgh. The players were impressed with Pittsburgh's defense. Watching the game, we were impressed with Pittsburgh's defense. I know you can run on them, other teams have, but when you look down at it, there weren't a lot of holes, right? I didn't think they missed many holes. I cringed when he said 40 to 50 passes. I will always cringe at that, but I don't know if they could have run the ball well had they run more in this game.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the offensive line didn't play very well either. We said this after Vanderbilt that, now that it's a win, the score doesn't matter. I think that applies here again. It certainly applies to Notre Dame, because if they continue to win, now you can't continue to play like this, of course, because the competition will not be very good, and Pittsburgh overall is not very good. But the bottom line here, there's just no doubt about it. You're coming off midterms, call it what you will, let down, whatever. They won the football game. They're 7-0, and they will remain in the top 5, and they control their own destiny.
Sometimes there is survive in advance in college football, and in mid-October, when you survive at home against Pittsburgh, it is survive in advance because no one's going to care about this score. This isn't a comparative score thing. that happens in week 11 or week 12 against a Pittsburgh team where you have to impress the pollsters. They won. That's what matters moving forward. But you say it, and Brian Kelly said it. As long as this type of play doesn't continue, you can completely forget this final score.
Notre Dame finds a way to beat Pittsburgh 19-14.